This week's episode is brought to you by Capital Financial Advisory Group for all your retirement needs.
Broadcasting from coast to coast, it's the Financial Safari with your host, Coach Pete D'Arruda. You'll hear from some of the nation's top financial professionals. So stick around and find out how to make it through the jungle of the financial world, right here on the Financial Safari.
Welcome once again to Financial Safari. I'm consumer advocate Dave Perkins, talking retirement strategies with Coach Pete's local trusted advisor. That is Gregg Berrian. I have the questions, as I'm sure you do, about retirement, because it can seem overwhelming, but Gregg, you help take a lot of the mystery out of it.
It's basically unraveling everything. And that's the whole thing, is there's so many things that you think you know, but you don't know about retirement. Mm-hmm. And as I always refer to, your brother-in-law Phil is always willing to give you that information. Sure. We're the anti-brother-in-law Phil.
Absolutely.
We're the facts, just the facts, man.
Meaning brother-in-law Phil may not always have the accurate information.
Just to tell you know, folks, your brother-in-law Phil is that well-meaning knucklehead who thinks they know everything about everything, and they're willing to share their bogus ideas with you.
Exactly. Or it could have worked for them, but not necessarily for you, because everyone's different.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Everything is different for everybody. It's as individual as your DNA.
Yeah, it really is. But we do share one common trait. We're all concerned about taxes. Taxes, where the rates will go, any potential tax bombs we may have. One thing I know you wanted to talk about was Roth strategies and all the considerations with that.
Roths are awesome.
Yeah.
They're terrific, but there's certain things about Roth that you need to know about.
Yeah,
because there could be a little, things that go wrong in the process of doing a Roth, that all of a sudden it's like, surprise.
Yes.
That's what we're trying to do, is we encourage moving money into Roths. However, we just want to make sure it's done in a controlled environment. For instance, let's say you had $1 million in qualified money, IRA money, folks. Mm-hmm. And then you decide to move the $4 million over.
Move it all.
Alrighty, there's certain ramifications that are involved in that. Number one, you're looking at a huge tax bomb, number one.
You're already going to have the tax from moving it, right?
Yeah. I mean, a huge tax bomb on that. And so that's there. You lose your compounding, okay? Because all of a sudden, you're set back $300,000 paying taxes, so you lost $300,000 in compound.
Right, you do lose that, yeah.
And then also, another thing really important, a lot of people realize this, is your Medicare. Because we talked about this on the radio today, is there is a nasty person out there called Irma. Okay.
Oh, I don't think I like Irma.
Irma, we don't like Irma. Irma is the income-related monthly adjustment amount, and what that is, folks, is when your Medicare Part B and your Part D is completely based on your income. So if you are taking $1 million, all of a sudden that's taxable money. Guess what? Your Medicare is going to go from $174 a month to $550 a month. That's on your Part B. That's drastic. Only.
Wow.
And let's say you're married. That's $1,100 a month. That's a $13,000 hit, plus your Part D, which is another chunk of change, which is probably another $160 a month. So you're looking about a $15,000 hit just on your Medicare.
And I'm foggy on that, because they look back 2 years on that.
They look back 2 years.
Okay.
Now, of course, we've heard me talk about the Form 44, but that's if you're looking at because you're retired and years before that you made $300,000, now you're down to $100,000. Mm-hmm. But this is an individual taxable hit which you will be responsible for on your Medicare.
Which is why you said on the radio, I've heard it said, eat the elephant one bite at a time.
One bite at a time.
You need to be careful.
Yeah. It's kind of like in that movie, The Great Outdoors, with John Candy. That's what I was trying to think the name of the movie, The Great Outdoors. He gets the old 96er, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It is one bite at a time, but you want to eat that 96-ounce steak over a period of time.
Right.
Yeah, it's like when I'm on the road and I go out to eat and I get that steak, I cut that son of a gun right in half, and I push one to the side and I eat the other half.
Doggy bag, please.
Doggy bag, yeah.
So, I mean, also, too, in addition to the Medicare possible consequences consequence. What about bumping you up to a higher tax bracket?
Exactly. You could go from a 12% tax bracket to 22 to 30% tax bracket. So in addition to that, you're pushing. I mean, it's just a huge. There's multiple. People look at, I'm going to pay taxes on it, but you don't look at the true ramifications of what that would be. So that's why we suggest moving little bits at a time, just dripping it in.
Yes.
Also, a very, very important piece to this is once you put money into a Roth, Dave, you have to be really, really careful that you can't touch that for 5 years.
It's the gains that you can't?
You can't touch any of that Roth for 5 years once you put it in there.
The earnings on it. Okay, or any. Okay.
Yeah.
For 5 years.
5 years. So you got to be really careful with that to make sure that you're not going to be able, you're not going to get, say, I want money from my Roth.
Well, another consideration in that. What about this though? Is this a good time to look at in the right way for you a Roth conversion or even making Roth contributions because of where tax rates could go?
That's the thing. When I was doing the Social Security workshops for Coach back, golly, we're going back 5-6 years. I would always say, because we were talking about Roths, I'd say, what do you think, folks? Down the road, are taxes going to go up or are they going to go down? And if there's 30 people in that room, guess how many 30 hands went up? How many hands went up? 30. All 30 people.
Yeah.
So, when you look at the fact that our national debt's $35 trillion, that Social Security is being stressed to the nth degree, that Medicare is being stressed, everything is being stressed. So, we can pretty much count on an increase. I don't know everything. I don't have a crystal ball, but I'm just looking at the environment of what's going on right now, and I really do feel that we're looking at a significant tax increase. Possibly.
Well, absolutely, and we'll probably you'll prove that in the next segment after the strategy du jour and how many boomers are retiring every day and the projections for the years ahead.
My gosh, I mean, what's the data we saw earlier today?
I'll have to pull the number up. It's millions.
30 million.
I think
boomers?
It was 30 million.
30 million boomers.
Yeah.
In the next 5 years, is it?
Well, yeah.
Okay, so that's 30 million boomers in the next 5 years that are moving into Medicare and moving into Social Security. But here's the thing, though. It's one thing if you got all those people moving there, but it's another thing when there's fewer people contributing to it. Like back when Social Security first came out, goodness sake, Dave, there was like 30 to 1. 30 people were paying into one person.
A lot more.
Now it's like 4 to 1. And who's really got to be careful are the millennials and the Zs, Generation Z. Because why? Because, I might get in trouble for this, but I feel Social Security is a Ponzi scheme, okay, of which the people on the bottom are pushing everything to, and if you're not having children, there's nobody to support your Social Security.
Well, we need workers. We need multiple ones per beneficiary for it to work.
We need workers.
Yeah.
We need workers, and if they're not there, there's going to be nobody feeding the beast that's going to pay that generation.
Absolutely.
I mean, I'll be dead.
Well, there are certain things, and there are also certain things with changes that we hope we're grandfathered in on some changes they may have to make with Social Security. We're almost out of time, but also on tax rates, the current rates sunset end of 2025. That makes it another good reason to at least look at Roth.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Roths are outstanding, but you just have to be careful. You have to make sure. I mean, I like hot sauce, but it doesn't mean I want to put all of it on top of my scrambled eggs. You just have to make sure you do it in an educated manner and in a controlled manner that you're getting advice from somebody who knows what they're talking about.
Well, that's where the team at Capital Financial can come in. And again, as we open the segment, help take the mystery out of a lot of these components and strategies necessary for a good retirement plan. What does yours look like? Call the number on your screen or text and set up a consultation at no cost, no obligation.
Folks, just like a perfect pass, your retirement plan needs precision and strategy. In the Big Book on Retirement, I lay out the game plan for your successful future. From the kickoff to the final whistle, the Big Book on Retirement covers every strategy you need for a winning retirement. I break it down like a football play, making it easy for you to understand and execute my strategies. The Big Book on Retirement is your playbook to success. Get your copy of the Big Book on Retirement today and start planning your victory party with me by your side all the way through retirement.
Astronaut Chris Hadfield once said,
Preparation is not only about managing external risks, but about limiting the likelihood that you'll unwittingly add to them.
When it comes to retirement, the last thing you want is risk. So what are the most common risks that you'll face in retirement? Because of advances in medical technology, people are now living longer than ever. The tricky thing is, you may outlive your retirement savings.
The best way to prepare for longevity, for living a long life, is to make sure you have a plan that encourages you to live a long life. We don't want to despair saying, gosh, if I live longer, I'm not going to have money left over. Or if I live longer, maybe I'll go to a long-term care facility. The plans we build give long-term care protection inside the plan. So therefore, we check off the longevity worry and get rid of it completely.
When it comes to your retirement, getting rid of worry is the name of the game. Creating a guaranteed income is essential to the stability and security of your financial future. If there is one place that your savings loses these things, it is the stock market.
Market risk is, of course, the risk of volatility that occurs with the market. The market's all over the place. Technology is a great thing to think for that. Every 3 days, it seems like we're jumping 600 points up or down. That's a risk that has to be accounted for in every retirement plan, but of course, it's the one that gives you the growth. It gives you the best time to make money, increase your income, increase your net worth, but it can be properly coded for. Now, that doesn't mean if you're 50, half your money's in bonds, half your money's in stocks. Everything has to be tailor-made. There's so many moving pieces on a personal planning side that have to be adjusted, and market risk is probably one of the big three.
Once we've eliminated some of the risk from our assets, we can look to other areas where spending is expected to go up and accommodate appropriately. National healthcare spending grew 9.7% to $4.1 trillion in 2020, or $12,530 per person, and is still expected to reach $6.2 trillion by 2028.
Medical costs in retirement can be outrageous. They can destroy a retirement plan no matter what you do, depending on what kind of sickness you have, depending on what kind of disabilities you have, not be able to do things. So we need to make sure at least our income plan has long-term care protection built in. There's ways in a life insurance plan to not only have that death benefit to make your family whole and complete and worry-free, but while you're still here, take advantage of using your own life insurance policy to pay for your long-term care payments.
One of the biggest retirement risks has risen annually since 1955, and that is inflation. If recent events have shown us anything, it's that we need to take it seriously.
Inflation, of course, is the rising cost of goods. Inflation is the cost of living adjustment that Social Securities, pensions, all of that don't really take into account properly. As we all know, buying a carton of milk or buying a loaf of bread isn't the same thing that we all feel every day. We feel gas prices, going out to eat, travel, the ever-increasing cost of pretty much everything that can go into your standard of living. And in retirement, you have more time. So that means you're going out more, you're enjoying life more. Hopefully, if you have a proper plan, that's the goal. But the rising cost is a big concern. You have to increase your income, replenish your income, and make sure all wheels are in the right direction. And inflation is the biggest erosion factor when it comes to retirement planning, of eroding that standard of living.
Sometimes finding retirement risks takes a little bit of digging. When reading your IRA's prospectus or plan overview, which, is a real page turner, you may come across one of the biggest retirement risks without even knowing it: fees and commissions.
Fees, expenses, commissions, inflation, taxation, they're all known as financial termites. If you've heard about anybody who had termites in their house, they didn't see them until it was too late many times, until their foot went through the floorboard when they're walking down the stairs to the living room. Who knows what happens? But in your financial plan, we can eliminate these financial termites that are eating away at your money, your retirement longevity from the inside out. So we can eliminate those financial termites, which automatically gives you that comfortable retirement that you don't have to worry about money going away, and you never have to worry about your money not being there.
So, does your plan account for all of these risks? Are you looking for your own total retirement plan? If you don't have a comprehensive plan, or if you'd like a second opinion, give Coach Pete and the team at Capital Financial a call and set up a review today. Meet with a professional who can help you identify potential red flags, hazards, and fees before you're blindsided in the financial red zone. Capital Financial will also implement the strategies necessary to take control of the money you've worked so hard to save. Contact us today. Also, be sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more great content.
Go to yourmoneydesk.com. We have a treasure trove of resources on the site where you can explore concepts like this and just get to know your own retirement a little bit better as you head into it.
One other site is retirementhealthcenter.com.
Yes,
we'll put them on the screen here, retirementhealthcenter.com. Videos, we try to keep them 4 minutes or less.
We do.
Because the attention spans these days are about 4 minutes or less. And so, but they explain about anything you could ever thought of. We've done them on like everything from crypto to safe money to risk money to retirement income.
Both of these sites now have multiple calculators on them, so be sure to head over to yourmoneydesk.com.
Retirementhealthcenter.com.
Having that rebalancing is very, very important. I know I overuse that word crucial, but it is crucially important. And so what we want to do is be sure we want to find a way that we want to enhance long-term returns. How do we do that? And a big part of that is that whole idea of the rebalancing, to be sure that my investments are invested commensurate with my age. And so we see so many people. I just talked to a listener just the other day, and he came in, and I told him point blank, we were looking at his portfolio, and I said, he was, I think, in his mid-60s. And I said, if you were 40 years old, I would say you're exactly on track, And he goes, holy cow. And I go, yeah. Problem is we're not 40. We're not 40 anymore. And so he says, so we need to make some major adjustments. And I said, yes. And that's absolutely here, as we're just talking about, that's where the conversation that we need to do a major rebalance from a standpoint to be sure that everything is in line with our age. And he was in a situation where it made a lot of sense for a 40-year-old, but made zero sense for someone in their mid-60s. So, that rebalancing is very important. We talk about all the different asset classes with, you want to talk about what I've got and invested in the stock market, what I have that's protected that's our whole mantra here is the growth, protection, and income. I want to be sure that I'm getting that growth, I'm getting that protection, and I'm getting that income, and I'm getting that all in a way that makes sense for me. Now, we believe that we should have the growth where we need some money that's invested in risk-type investments, invested in the market, but at the same time, we want to have some of that money that's invested for protection. And so in our world, it takes kind of that market timing out of the equation. Is I kind of put a stake in the ground. This is what I've got protected. I put a stake in the ground. This is what I have invested, in the risk type investments, and then they work hand in glove with each other. And so that takes a lot of that kind of question mark out of there when we talk about some of this rebalancing and so forth, and that I don't have to worry about that kind of the market timing. Is my timing going into this investment or that investment? We try to take that out of the equation as much as we possibly can and put something in place where it just simply makes sense. Now I want my investments, I want those to start to distribute me income on a month-to-month basis. And then that's when we put a plan together and we talk about Social Security and we talk about, investment income and where's that income come from. And we talk about tax consequences and we talk about Roth IRAs. We talk about traditional IRAs. We talk about all these different type things. Because when we want that income in retirement, and again, I don't mean to be repetitive here, but we want that income coming to us in the most reliable, predictable way that we can. But more importantly, we also want it coming to us in the most tax efficient way that we possibly can. And I want to reduce the amount of taxes that I pay to the best of my ability on a month-to-month basis. And that, again, we're just talking about some very basic principles here.
Do you hear that? That's me enjoying my retirement. Traveling around the world to play golf, where I want, when I want, with whomever I want. Even got some customized clubs. Because years ago, I rolled over my IRA with the help of a local trusted advisor. Contact us to get started today. This is a no-cost, no-obligation retirement review to help educate and enlighten.
back with Financial Safari. Always great to have you along. And I'll tell you, it's great information that we get out on this show every week. What we need to consider in retirement planning. Coach Pete's local trusted advisor is Gregg Berrian. And Greg, we always set aside time for strategy du jour. And
this is so much fun.
Well, it's a hypothetical, but it's relatable. And you set it up in, I don't know, you sometimes go to zombie apocalypse scenarios, but you're extremely conservative in your projections on these.
Yes, I am. And today, Dave, we're doing Dr. Evil.
Okay.
We're doing Dr. Evil of $1 million.
Okay. Well, I do know that's our setup.
1 million. And I love that. And they all like, $1 million? And they like laugh at him.
Absolutely. But here is someone who is 65 and inherited $1 million in non-qualified money. They don't want to put it in the stock market, Greg. What can they do?
This is beautiful about doing the strategy du jour.
Right.
Because we can like fantasize sometimes like we just got $1 million.
But you know, that happens.
How fun. It does happen.
Surely happens.
It happens more often than you'd imagine. I'm sure some folks are out there going, where's my million? You know what I mean? It's
like me.
Sorry, you didn't win the gene pool lottery on that one. You know what I mean? But so we're just
or the other lottery.
Or the other lottery. We're just going to basically call it, $1 million. And what's so wonderful about this is the moment that this money goes into the account. Okay, the moment it goes into the account, your account is not going to start out with $1 million, Dave. It's going to start off with $1,180,000.
Okay, that sounds good. How?
Because you're going to get a bonus. You're going to get a bonus from this particular company of 18% in the state of North Carolina. The state of South Carolina, it's 16% because all these things are decided by the state insurance bureau.
Yeah.
And so we're looking at an 18% bonus. Here's the amazing thing is, let's say this person came in, they sat down in front of me, we did it. They wrote me the check for the $1 million, which I have gotten checks for $1 million before. It's kind of freaky. It's weird.
Yeah, it would be.
And it's kind of like, what do I do with this? Let me go home quick. Where's the FedEx envelope?
Give me a safe deposit box or something.
But anyhow, we're looking at, you get the $1 million that goes in there. You walk away from my office with your strategy, and it's worth $1,180,000, and all of a sudden you pass away in a car crash.
Okay. What happens?
Well, your beneficiary gets 100% of that money.
Okay.
It'll be $1,180,000.
Nice.
Which is pretty amazing because your account value and your death benefit will always be the same. And then the way we design these plans, of course, we have to talk about, in the event that if it does not ever go up in value, okay? So let's say it never went up in value. So at the end of the 10-year period, even if there's like nothing, everything was like blew up in the marketplace, which could happen. It could happen in the 30s, who knows what could happen.
Right.
You'd still have $1,072,000.
Okay.
But let's say, everything, let's say the market behaved itself. And it did what it did, and it grew. It had up years, down years, just like we're looking at in the market, and it grew at a rate of 6%, which is a conceivable amount of earnings. At the end of 10 years, David, you have $1,930,999.
That's just on normal market conditions?
Normal market conditions, in which, some years are big, some years are small, some years you don't earn anything because, of course, the market went down, but you didn't lose.
Right.
And so if the market goes down, you don't lose, and when it starts going up, you're winning again.
Nice.
And so that's almost doubles your money in a matter of 10 years if you didn't touch it. Now, here's the beautiful thing about this, too, is don't forget, if you get this money and you put that $1 million in there, that first $1 million, when it passes to your descendants, that first $1 million is tax-free because that's principal.
Ah, yes.
Only the earnings are taxed.
Ah, okay, very good. And it's almost like because he didn't want to be in the stock market, but it's almost like an aggressive-like strategy without the risk.
Without the risk. Yeah. And so you're on that tightrope. You're walking on the tightrope, and you got that net below you. It's kind of like, you see like those buildings that they have, you can walk out on the ledge and it's like that glass that thick, you know what I mean? You can look down, it's like, it's kind of freaky and scary, you know what I mean? But it's okay, you're safe, you're safe because you have that safety net there, which gives you the opportunity to take other money, invest it more aggressively because you know that whatever happens, you have here is completely safe.
Right. Coach Pete always talks about those buckets, making sure you've got those right. We mentioned something, and I just want to clarify one thing. The stats show still 30-some million boomers turning 65. It's 7 years. I did a little math, Greg. A 65-year-old today was 25 in 84.
Great year, the 80s. Love it.
Yeah, I do too. I even like the music and all that. But in 84,
prefer the 70s though.
70s has really good music. One thing that happened, speaking of 70s, I think it was 78, the Revenue Act of that year, a clause was discovered in that that actually brought forth the birthing of the 401k. And so we started to see the demise in the private sector in the 80s. So that 25-year-old in 84 and now 65 could have worked his entire life, his or her, without a pension.
Yeah. Yeah, and so therefore it's up to you now to create that pension for you. And the thing is you know, we have this video that we're offering. Folks, if you want to reach out to get this video, let us know, called The Baby Boomer Dilemma. And there's this great part where this guy, one of the characters gets all this money, all righty, and instead of his pension, he puts it into the market. And his wife says, "Is that safe?" "It's great. It's going up. It's going up." Well, anyhow, it ended up coming crashing down. And she was like, "Oh my gosh, we lost like half our money. How are we going to, we have to keep working." And so that's the scary part about it. So you want to make sure that when you do get that money, if you do get that money, it's part of it is in a safe position. And here's the other thing, which is better than a traditional pension. Okay? It's like, let's say you get a $2,000 pension at the age of 62 years old. And let's say you live to age 82.
Okay.
And you're still getting that $2,000 pension.
But inflation has factored in.
Inflation's factored in.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But it's not factoring inflation.
Yeah, exactly. So basically that $2,000 when you're 82 is a fraction of what it was back when you were 62 years old. And so therefore, some of those strategies that we work with has built-in inflation fighters that your money keeps going up. And here's the other thing also. Let's say you're not married, all righty, and you have kids, and then all of a sudden you pass away. If you have a regular pension, your pension dies with you. Okay? If you're married, if you have a regular pension, you could put your spouse on there. But let's say you die 2 years later, and you have a regular pension. All that money that is in your pension, poof, it's gone.
And not everybody puts their spouse on it with the pension, right?
Tell me about it. It happened to my aunt. Her husband worked for the GE for like 30, 40 years. And when he got his pension, he put it in his name only, and he's been dead for 20 years.
Wow.
In the meantime, she's living on Social Security. So you want to look at something that's going to take care of you, it's going to take care of your spouse, and if you both pass, if there's anything left, it'll go to the kids.
Yeah, great.
Which is terrific.
Yeah, and Coach Pete calls it the financial fill-up or personal pension. They'll tell you about it. They'll look at what you have and see if that can work out for you or how they can make it work for you. In other words, get a glimpse of your retirement plan. Call the number on your screen or text. Set it up. A comprehensive review at no cost, no obligation.
I've been in the financial arena for 32 years. I have a staff with a combined experience of over 100. We're going to educate you on our webinar coming up, folks. Tune in shortly.